Hey Noel, I think we've met. I'm Jimmy,
Hi,
nice to meet you.
nice to meet you. How are you connected with this Jimmy?
So I know Laura, so I kind of also a giant coach. So I'm based down in
Okay.
London. But my kind of previous world was very much within the kind of Christian youth work world, and so yeah, I had lots of overlap with organisations like Bible Society then. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, when Laura knew that there was a few sessions, she was like, "Hey, do you want to come and be part of the team?"
Oh,
Uh,
nice. Great.
Recording. Great. Hi,
Hey,
Rachel.
Rachel. Hello. I was half an hour early and then I was 2 minutes late.
Oh, lovely. Super keen today.
Hmm?
Super keen today.
Yes. Mhm.
was the
Always.
was the half an hour fear that the internet link wasn't going to work, or just getting the time wrong?
Just getting the time wrong. I was in another meeting till quarter to and I was like, all right, grab my coffee, get on, join. And I'm like, there's nobody here.
Jimmy and I were having a chat. You could have joined us, Rachel.
I don't think we've met, Rachel. I was just saying to Noel that I'm kind of subbing in for today's session. So I've done some of the other group, but yeah, based down in London. So part of the giant ethos as well. But prior to this, so I worked for the Church of England, but as their National Youth Evangelism Officer. That was
Mhm.
Was
my
it
role.
you knew, Jimmy, that when we did one of the sessions, you knew
Yeah, so I know Rich.
Rick? That was it.
Yeah. So yeah, so Rich was he did the prayers at our wedding many years ago. But yeah, so and then I the other link is oh, what was his name? You can tell it's hot nearly the end of the day.
I won't say it's your age, Jimmy, because I think.
Yeah, uh, Nigel Langford.
Okay.
He used to be. So me and Nigel go to the same church.
Ah,
So
Hmm.
yeah. So I chatted when Nigel was still with Bible Society, chatted to him lots about yeah, how you guys were doing and what that looked like.
well,
But
say
yeah,
hello to Nigel for me. So,
we'll
haven't seen him
do.
in a long time.
Yeah. I mean he's a hard man to pin down. Like he just goes underground for like 2 months at a time and then emerges. But I think we've got a coffee and catch up in a couple of weeks, so that'll be nice.
No. Nice to meet you anyway.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. How long have you both been with Bible Society for?
I've been about 3.5 years.
Okay. How
And
about you,
five,
Rachel?
just coming up to five for me.
And like what were you both doing beforehand?
Well,
Um,
had my own company training teachers.
Nice.
And I was a teacher obviously before that.
I wasn't working for a bit because I'm American, and my husband is British. So there was this weird time in my 20s where I was moving here, and it meant not working there and then not working here. But before that, I worked in marketing, for a bit.
Nice. Which part of the States are you from?
I'm from Baltimore in Maryland, so the East
Okay.
Coast.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. How have you found the adjustment coming across?
Yeah. I'm quite used to it now. It's obviously very well for me, it's quite different. There's a bit of culture shock. Just because you think everything's going to be the same because it's the same language, and but it's actually quite different. So but yeah, I've got used to it and I really like it here. So
Are are you cheering for England or are you cheering for the US in the World Cup?
I cheer for the US until we inevitably go out before England does, and then I cheer for England.
Switch allegiance.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, and Rachel, like switch from teaching. Like, how have you found that? Like, is was teaching faster paced than Bible Society, or was Bible Society faster
Well, the
paced than
teaching
teaching?
was a long time ago because I worked for Welsh Government for a bit in between as well. Um,
Sliding it all in. It's quite the
yeah,
CV.
but I from working for myself, having my own company, it was so nice. My life changed coming to work for the Bible Society because I'd forgotten what it was like to have colleagues and
Yeah.
yeah, it's like oh, I talk to people.
Totally failed at
It's okay.
Finding the new link.
Matt and Stuart, Jimmy. I might just rename you. Is anybody else in there with you?
No, it's just us.
Oh, Beth. I know Beth has sent her apologies.
Who else are we waiting on, or are we there? I've been informed we're a smaller cohort heading into the summer.
I did think it was possible.
Katie's off ill, so she won't be here. Katie Tang, that is. Katie is also off.
Yep. So I think this might be it.
This is it. Great, brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, for Matt and Stuart's benefit, sorry, Noel in particular, this is your third rodeo round.
Okay.
So I'm Jimmy. I work as a leadership coach over in London, but part of the kind of giant ethos, and done some stuff with Laura, and prior to this, used to work for the Church of England as their head of youth evangelism. So yeah, kind of a number of my clients are very kind of similar ilk to Bible Society. So Laura said, "Hey, do you want to come and be part of the team?" And so we've done some stuff with the other group with Bible Society, but this is my first time with you guys, which is exciting. But yeah, great. So we're going to dive in. So did everyone manage to watch the session? Caught up?
Fortunately, not from my side, no.
Okay, that's all right. No worries. We will talk through the tool as if it's brand new. So let me share my screen. So as Laura normally does, thought it'd be good place, especially being the Bible Society, but just generally because it's always a good thing to start in the Bible. So a kind of very well-known Matthew 28, therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son, Holy Spirit, teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. Surely I am with you always to the end of the age. I think this works really well as a kind of precursor to the tool that we're looking at today. So today's tool, we're essentially talking about the difference between how we personally perform and how we go about leading other performers. So this is the tool we're going to look at, and Claire's going to kind of walk us through that. But I think it's really interesting when we look at this that the kind of mandate from Jesus isn't that like you now have the Holy Spirit, you now have new life in Christ. Just go and enjoy that. That's it. Like the mandate is go, but not just go and tell people about it, but go and teach. That kind of that there is this prerogative that actually this isn't something that you keep, but something that you kind of pass on to others. So Claire, I'm gonna bat over to you. Do you wanna talk us through talk us through this tool?
Yeah, absolutely. So how are you doing with those you lead? As leaders, we have to perform and lead other performers. And it's one thing to metaphorically climb the mountain. It's another thing to lead people who are also climbing the mountain. Now, I'm sure we can all think of an example of a brilliant performer who was a terrible leader, which illustrates the difference between personal performance and leadership. Now, by chance, I'm currently reading Careless People by Sarah Wynne Williams. I don't know if any of you have heard of her or the book. She is a Kiwi and was originally a lawyer who'd worked on policy for the New Zealand diplomatic service, so I guess like civil servant. She's also worked at Oxfam, but then in 2011, she started working at Facebook and eventually became their global policy director. And it's all about her experience really with culture and leadership. And who would have thought that billionaire tech bros could be exceptionally intelligent, technically brilliant, commercially successful, highly driven, and still be a poor leader? We haven't seen any examples of that from Silicon Valley at all, have we? So one of the recurring themes is that exceptional business performance didn't translate into healthy leadership or culture, and high performers were often promoted because of the results that they got individually, not because they developed people or modeled healthy leadership. And a leader succeeds when they are creating more capable leaders. The true measure of leadership is not only what you accomplish yourself, but the kind of people and culture your leadership produces. And generally we are able to kind of look at and develop our own performance, but not so much on the leading performers side. So this doesn't only apply at work. For this, we can also look at the 5 circles of influence, which is something that we have looked at previously. Predominantly for this, we want to look at self, family, and team. So the first 3 rings of the 5 circles of influence, where within those are you succeeding, and where do you need to be sort of developing others, which will also bring us into the other tool that is part of this set, which is the developing others framework. So where are you and where are others on that framework? Is someone stuck in the pit of despair, not knowing what they should be doing, or are they just sitting in the green room, comfortable and not stretching themselves? So Jimmy, I don't know if you want to add anything into that.
So I think it's really interesting with this. So this is kind of meant to be used as a bit of a self-test. So how are you personally performing, but then how are you leading others? And kind of that score out of 10, I think for lots of us, if we're honest, that's probably how we would break down. So how are we personally performing? Probably about like an 8 out of 10. Like, could I do better? Absolutely. Am I slacking? Definitely not. But then it comes to, it's that leading others. So kind of the tool that we looked at last time, so we looked at this kind of getting leaders to the next level. I kind of overlay on top of this, there's a book called Leadership Pipeline by a guy called Ram Shram, which I really kind of recommend. But he kind of breaks this down, thinking about this kind of this level 1 being like leaders of self. So I'm responsible for delivering my work. Then your level 2 is leaders of others. So now I am managing someone else. And then this level 3 is leaders of leaders. So actually at this stage, I'm quite far removed from the stuff that actually my primary role, like when you reach level 2, your primary role is how do I help to delegate? How do I set clear expectations? How do I help coach and manage these guys? And once you're up to level 3, you're helping the guys on level 2 to do that for level 1. So actually, more and more the focus, the higher up the mountain you go, the more the focus shifts from that kind of how am I personally performing over to how do I lead performers. So what we're going to do is I've created a little tool just to kind of help give a little bit of context. Big precursor to this. This is not an extensive list. It's really just to get you thinking, and then we're going to pop you into some groups. So the question I want you to think about is when you think about whether, and you might be sat there going, hey, you know what, Jimmy, like leading others is not a problem at all. Like personal performance is my real issue. But like what is it that is creating the gap? Like what, like Laura uses a phrase like what brings out your resistance, which I really like. Like what is it that you're constantly avoiding? Like, I don't like this, I don't want to do it. So personal performance, like delivering high quality work on time, taking ownership rather than waiting to be told, prioritizing well and focusing on the most important things, solving problems rather than simply raising them, manage my own time and energy well, communicate clearly and reliably, keep commitments, follow through, continue leading and learning and developing, seek feedback and act on it, live out the Bible Society's values in the way I work. I would imagine that for most of us, we're kind of looking at that going, I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job at that. Call ourselves an 8 out of 10. So feel free to do it the other way around, but I would imagine for most of us, we'd look at that leading performance list. So setting clear expectations, delegating meaningful responsibility, coaching rather than rescuing. That one I always think is a really helpful one. Like actually, am I just going to come in to take it off you and I'm just going to do it? Or actually, are we getting alongside people? Like with that developing others square, those first 2 sides are so painful because you're still doing the work and either someone's watching you or someone's helping you, but you are still delivering it. Holding people accountable, that especially for your nurturers and your connectors and your creative connectors, that can often be a real challenge. Giving timely feedback, recognizing, encouraging good work, investing time developing people. Like if I looked at your diaries, would that tell me that you're developing people, or is that kind of you got to read between the lines? removing obstacles for your team, building trust and psychological safety, helping people become less dependent on me, think beyond today's problems to future capability, and create opportunities for others to lead. So like I said, it's not an extensive list, but hopefully it begins to get you thinking. When you look at that list, the question I want you to discuss is, what brings out that resistance? Is it, I'm just not sure I trust other people yet. Like, I can just do it faster myself. Like, I don't have enough time for this coaching malarkey. Like, I'm going to set you expectations and we're going to kind of crack on. I avoid having difficult conversations because it makes me feel really awkward. I'm always very reactive, so I haven't got time to be sitting down and either coaching or giving feedback. Or actually, sometimes it's like, I still measure my value based on what I personally produce. So, we're going to pop you into breakout rooms. Feel free to take a photo of that slide if that's helpful. If it's just triggered some things in your head, then that's great. But I want you to think about the question, like when it comes to leading your own performance, or leading others' performance, what is creating the gap? What brings out that resistance? What do you constantly avoid? And then when we come back, we'll get you guys to share. Okay, happy with that? Any questions? Brilliant. Cool. We'll see you in about 10 minutes. Great. Welcome back all. How do we get on? So we're small, so we'll go around and give everyone a chance to feedback. So ladies, are you all right to go first?
Yeah.
Don't know whether you want to rock, paper, scissors. I can jump back over to the slide if that's helpful.
That's okay. I can go first. We were talking about how the people that we lead for us are very high performers, so very strong, always producing excellent work. I would say like leaders already, just not in leadership roles at Bible Society, but could easily be. And I think the challenge for me is, I feel like I'm almost like, how do I facilitate this greatness all of the time? Because I know whatever I put this person on, they're going to really excel. So I feel like for me, I found this list that you gave us really helpful. I feel like for me, it's think beyond today's problems to future capability and create opportunities for others to lead. And the other one was remove obstacles for my team. So I feel like those are my three that I'm always feel like I'm trying to do, because when you have someone who is going to do so well at whatever they do, I want to make sure they're on the things that are really important for them to do, and not, it's kind of like the 70-30 thing.
Yeah.
Of like, are they actually doing the things that give them life? Because whatever I put them on, they're going to produce excellent work. So let's make sure that what they're working on is actually up their alley, because then it'll be even better. So I feel like that's my struggle at the moment, is trying to make sure I'm doing that. And I feel like I'm getting there at the moment, but having to switch some things around to do that.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. And Rachel, how about you?
But I've forgotten most of what we talked about. But so I was saying, I feel that my performance and my leading performance at the moment is pretty level. But the challenge is making sure it stays there, because it doesn't take much for it to drop in either one. But the same as Noelle, I said my team are amazing, and for me the biggest challenge, I don't know which one it would fit, but is ensuring that the skills they've got are going to the most important thing that's on what we need to do. Really.
Yeah.
And looking further ahead, and knowing what's coming up and what needs to be done.
Yeah. I think, and it sounds like you're already doing this, but kind of, we talk about the difference between kind of proactive leadership and reactive leadership. That actually quite often we can end out in that kind of reactive leadership, that kind of we're running around from issue to issue, we're putting fires out. If you then add on top of that when we are, like I always talk about, when you're stressed, when you're tired, when you're hungry, like they're the three things that actually the leader who I want to be, chuck out the window. Like, I'm just going to be the leader that shows up. That's it. I haven't got the bandwidth, I haven't got the capacity to kind of be that intentional leader. Um, and so yeah, so the kind of being able to put that in. So actually, I'm thinking really proactively around actually how do I be really intentional about building out a kind of runway for these guys. So it's not, well, we'll do this one task and then that's it done, but actually we'll do this and then that enables you to do this and then that enables you to do this. Yeah. Matt and Stuart, how did you guys get on?
Really well. Next question. No.
I was quoting Stephen Fry. So
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
And Greek mythology and all sorts of stuff. It's an exotic conversation.
Well, I think we both agreed that there's something about we define our worth, even subconsciously, by what we produce. And investing time in other people can be seen as a threat to that, as we've already mentioned. And I think that's something that I slip into, and Matt was agreeing with. And that's when I brought up Stephen Fry, because it just popped into my head. He writes about Greek myth. He says the difference between the gods, the gods are terrified of their children becoming better than them. So Cronus hears that Zeus is going to be better than him. So what does he do? He eats him when he's a baby. And then he has to be regurgitated later on. But human beings are different because they strive that their children will be better than them. And that kind of struck a chord. I think there's something about being fully human that is inherently about building up other people, creating an inheritance, because we're finite and mortal beings. And I'm getting far too philosophical, so I'll stop there.
Yeah.
No, I was just talking about just like the cultural part of that as well, because I identified the same pieces. I like thinking of myself as a high performer. I love doing things and getting things done. I'll crack on and do it to the best of my abilities. And when you sort of move up into that leadership role, it's resting with the piece that you're no longer necessarily doing the work, but you're still accountable for that work. And actually, other people's achievements and their successes are therefore your successes, because you're leading a team to deliver a strategy and a roadmap. So, yeah, I always find that a challenge, because the work I do, for example, is not so much hands-on. I'm a hands-on kind of guy. I like getting things done. So it's dealing with that. So we mentioned the 70-30. What's the 30% that fills your cup sort of thing? I'll make sure I crack on and do some fun techie stuff and geeky stuff. But that's a continual sort of, I say, a theme, I think. And then we speak about the cultural piece, and I was nowhere near as eloquent as Stuart, but I said about, like, from my father's point of view, it's kind of like his philosophy, old school philosophy, is, well, son, don't want to give away all the tools to everybody else, because then what's your worth to the organization? Whereas my philosophy is very much the opposite. It's, okay, well, I can't be the center of everything. I can't say yes, no to everything. I've got to empower the team to do their job and do their job well, to function well in the organization. So yeah, let's talk about that, to be fair.
Yeah. And I do think kind of like, yeah, Stuart's point around, sorry, which way around are you? It's Stuart in the blue shirt. Yeah, great. I should have trusted my gut.
It's like Hampton Deck, isn't it? They all stand in the same place. So that you're not...
What do you want to be?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
So like Stuart's point about kind of wanting our children to be better than we are. But I think, like, to your point, Matt, actually sometimes there is a bit of that kind of old school mindset, like, well, no, I want to show that I'm bringing value. That what's really interesting is that often here, when you move from that level 1 up to the level 2, one of the things that's really hard is that you're still investing a lot of time. But then when that kind of praise and appreciation comes, it doesn't come to you, it comes to the person on level 1. And you're like, no, I did that. I made that magic happen. Like, and so actually sometimes there's some of that, but there's an element often that, like, the stuff that we do in level 1 is the stuff that we're good at, that brings us joy. It is in that 70%. I think it's really interesting, that kind of the bit me and Claire were talking about this in the break, but kind of letting people whether we kind of call them, like, to go back to kind of Rachel and Noelle's point around kind of like, how do I give you those kind of stretch assignments, those things that are going to kind of help you develop and grow and be all you can be, but also the things that kind of, it's not going to reflect badly on me. Like I've still got this. That when you think about the developing others square, it always amuses me when it comes to recruitment. We talk about like wanting to hit the ground running. And what we mean is that we want them to come in down here, like in conscious competence. We want them to arrive and like, hey, I'm here. Email me if you've got any questions. Off you go. And actually, it's because these bits here that they're slow and they're painful and it's hard. But actually, this is where most of the learning happens. So I kind of used the analogy that like my daughter's 6 and she's learning how to swim. And when she's in the water, she kind of looks like she's drowning. Like now, as a dad, like I know that she's not drowning. I know she's absolutely fine, but I can watch other parents like the visible anxiety at it. And actually, the default would be to just grab her and pull her out and be like, no, you know what? Like, I'll do the swimming. You watch me swim. But it's only in her doing it, in her kind of figuring it out, like that's how she learns how to swim. And actually, she does know how to swim. Like, as soon as she ducks into the water, she'll be away. Like, but she's figuring out how to do that kind of breaststroke, front crawl, all of that kind of fun stuff. So yeah, lots of great stuff there. I want to move us on to think about and kind of Claire alluded to this earlier. So thinking about those kind of 5 circles of influence, and kind of you guys have already looked at this tool, so I'm kind of not going to overhash it. But I want us to think about those first 3 circles. So what does it look like to help ourselves become a better leader? What does it look like to help our family or our close friends become better leaders? And what does it look like to help our team become better leaders? Because I think within this, often we kind of default to that team space, but actually a lot of the time it starts with us. Like, actually, am I investing in helping myself to move around that developing other square? Am I helping myself go up the mountain? And how am I doing that for my kind of family and my close friends? So, I mean, again, kind of not an exhaustive list by any kind of stretch, but like when I was thinking about this, kind of what are some of the ways that like I'm helping myself be a better leader? So the things that I've kind of either am doing or have tried to do in the past, kind of like, so making sure I keep promises to myself. So whether that's about like how much I exercise or like reading, how many books I want to read or how often I want to pray, like blocking out time, like we talked about, like my difference between being reactive and being proactive, like actually blocking out times to think rather than just constantly being reactive and letting that just buff down the road. Like managing my diary rather than letting my diary manage me. Choosing what deserves my best energy. There's a coaching phrase like, what's your best yes? And I always find that really challenging. Like I can say yes to everything, but what's the best yes here? Like asking people for feedback. I think sometimes we don't like asking people for, I know that I personally, so something I've really tried over the last couple of years to do is like, how can I actively seek out that feedback? Learning a new skill, like I know that I'm really bad at being like, you know what, like that's good enough. I'm okay on this, but actually, where am I stepping into another square of that developing other square, which I wouldn't otherwise? Reflecting on like after meetings, that's a big one for me again. Like I'll just rush into the next one. Like, am I stopping and taking time? Like owning mistakes, like resting well. Like I'm Pioneer Connector, so some of those might resonate. If you're other end of the spectrum, you might have your own. When you think about family, that kind of that idea of rescuing, of like grabbing my daughter, like my children, I've got 6 and a 3-year-old. They both have realized they can get up and come downstairs before. And my wife started leaving the breakfast cereal out on the side. And I'm just like, this is a disaster waiting to happen. We're going to come downstairs. There's going to be cereal everywhere. There's going to be milk everywhere. Like, actually, like I've got to let them make their own breakfast. Like that's teaching them responsibility. Like letting them help me with things. I'm like, oh, I'm not sure. But actually, like, my daughter when she does homework, like letting her struggle with the homework rather than just be like spelling out words. I'm just like, this is the letter, deal with it. Um, when it comes to team, sometimes team is kind of the easiest one out of those. So like for me, kind of coaching is always a big one. So instead of like just answering every question, like actually like, hey, what do you think? Like the idea of ownership. So instead of like, I'll finish this, like no, you own this, like I'll support you. How do I stay in that space? Or maybe around the area of development, like so instead of giving feedback only when something goes wrong, what does it look like to kind of schedule those intentional development opportunities? We're watching a TV show at the moment, and one of the characters in it points out that you only ever say like, I only tell the truth when it's something which is bad. Like I only tell the truth when it's something good. Like when are we doing that? So there are a couple of examples. They might be helpful. What we're going to do, pop you back into your groups. I want you to think about this in line with the core model. But when it comes to self, when it comes to family, when it comes to team, what does it look like? How are you helping each of those to be a better leader? So we'll do that, and then we'll come back together and we'll kind of feedback. Brilliant. Welcome back. So, boys, do you want to go first? Do you want feedback?
Yeah. What was the first thing I was talking about? I can't remember now.
Oh, crikey, we talked about too many. We're a little bit off piste. I'll go while you remember. How's that?
Yeah, you do that, and I'll try to remember what I said.
I didn't quite get to a definitive one, but I think on self, I think I mostly drive myself too hard on a personal level. By that I mean I'm always active, always doing stuff. Generally, it's quite exhausted some days because I do too much. So there's something there about actually taking the foot off the gas a little bit. I think on the self level, and that mostly bleeds also into the family and the work element as well. Where I think I said I frequently come back home from work exhausted, mentally exhausted, physically ready to rock and roll, but mentally exhausted, and that just then bleeds into like the sort of being there for the family, really, and leaving that little bit of extra time just to switch off and telling my kids, yes, I'll come and play with you in about 20 minutes after dinner, not 5 minutes as I get through the door, So I think there's something there between those two things. I think just taking the foot off the gas just a little bit, and not being quite so full on.
Yeah, no, that's great.
So it was self for me as well. I remember now. I mean, I'd like to exercise a bit more courage in leading myself. The example I gave, and I've brought it up here before, is my job description is being reviewed because it's a very old job description for a role I don't do. So it's being reviewed at the moment. It's kind of all ground to a halt, and I want to take some initiative to, shape it a bit more, and then use that as, leverage, I suppose, to have a conversation about where it's graded on the pay scale.
Yeah.
So that terrifies me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have to do it. So I need to make an appointment with my line manager in the first instance, and then have the courage to actually just be very blunt, but in a fair way, and say, this is what I do. This is why I think it ought to be paid more.
Yeah, no, that's great. Brilliant reflections. Thanks, guys. And then Noel and Rachel.
I said that I find myself the hardest one to do. I find it easier to move others forward. I can have a tendency to, avoid pushing myself to do things I don't want to do.
Yeah. I think there's a brilliant book called The Four Tendencies. It's worth a read. Basically talks about these 4 overlapping circles on how you meet expectations. Like how do you do with meeting inner expectations, and how do you do with meeting outer expectations? And yeah, how do you motivate yourself to do things? So yeah, it's good. Brilliant. Noel, how about you?
I said for leading myself better, I think something I neglect a lot in my work is training, because I feel like I just need to do the actual work. So I think, and this is training, but I mean training more in like my actual role in the work that I do. And I think I could do more of that. Yeah.
Brilliant. Sounds great. Fantastic. Well, hopefully kind of running that through the core model, you've got you've got how you're gonna kind of action that in the coming days and weeks. I think you guys have got another call in 2 weeks. Is that right, Claire?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, look forward to bringing your how you've done on that for next time. Do we know what tools we're looking at next time? I'll throw you in the deep end, Claire.
I'll pop it all in the email. It'll be 43 and 44 sessions.
We've got down 3, and that we're not meeting till.
Oh, it is 3 weeks. You're right.
4 weeks.
It's the first week of August, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
I'll pop it all in the email.
Excellent.
Well,
Great. Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate all your input, and yeah, that's been helpful. And yeah, hopefully our paths cross again.
thank you, guys.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
nice to meet
Thanks,
you.
Claire.
Jenny.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Cheers then, guys.
See ya.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.